How we all doing, everybody? It is a beautiful, beautiful Saturday night. And this is the Transformers Slag podcast live stream main event. I am your host, Proto Man. And if this is your first time, well, this is the face of the voice you've been listening to all week. And we're going to talk Transformers. We're going to cover some of the news that we covered this week, some little updates, some little housekeeping on that. Cover some stuff that happened over the weekend because it was Wonder Festival in Japan. So there was little things here and there that were shown off, some rumors that happened today, everything like that. A little bit of something I got in the mail, nothing too special, but some people might enjoy it. And then we'll take some super chats from the crew hanging out in the Raptors today. We got a whole bunch of our YouTube members, Aaron Archer, and everyone seems to have arrived early today. So let's do that. Oh, Larry's here too. He just showed up in the last second. So let's do that. Shall we? A lot of cool stuff to talk about. And it'll be quite interesting to say the least. So the first thing let's talk about is the Transformers Premium Finish line that Takara Tomy has been up to the past couple of months. This has been something that they've been showing off every piece and here and there every couple of months. Essentially, they have 12 different releases. 6 of them are War for Cybertron related. 6 of them are movie related. And they've been slowly piecing them out and putting them out there for people to essentially enjoy. And the latest reveal and the latest pre-order that has come up is the Studio Series PF Prime Convoy Studio Series 05 Optimus Prime. Now, a lot of people have been critical about this premium finish choice because of the choice of mold of all the Studio Series molds that have existed up to this point in relation to that of a movie Optimus Prime. People were confused that they went with the Studio Series 05 mold because people feel it's not as accurate. It's not as screen accurate. And it's a little understandable. A lot of the tooling and engineering came from Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime, specifically the first edition one. But I can't deny the amount of paint that has gone into this. And not to mention, they kind of combined the weapons that were associated with the Studio Series 32 Optimus Prime, which was the Ion Buster that was available with that. And of course, little things here and there. They actually gave 2 Ion Busters. I think that they went with this one because the alt mode is pretty good looking, as well as the robot mode, where the alt mode for the Studio Series 32, which was also used for Studio Series 44, the alt mode kind of showed off a lot of weird robot pieces on the bottom of it, kind of had a lot of gaps and stuff. So I think this is probably the happy middle and taking those pieces. So, if you missed out on Studio Series 05 that came out March 2018. If you didn't get a chance to get the Revenge of the Fallen Studio Series 32 version that came out in January of 2019, then maybe you want this guy. And again, he has the 2 swords, the 2 Buster rifles. Looks pretty good. All that's missing is a little Matrix accessory. I think that's what would have won me over more than anything. But it still looks pretty good. Again, Premium Finish puts a lot into this product. They put a lot of paint, and it's going to be pretty interesting. Now, the question is, what is next? Because there's essentially 3 slots left now, and this is how Premium Finish has been. They've always been teasing with these silhouettes, and some of them are obviously much more easy to tell than others because these silhouettes really are based off of Takara Tomy stock images. People have pretty much guessed that the last 2 of the War for Cybertron category is going to be Springer and that of Earthrise Wheeljack. The Springer is the exciting one because I'm pretty sure people really want to have a cleaned up, really nice looking Springer that could probably fit in their Studio Series 86 shelving. The Wheeljack, I don't know how they're going to paint it. That's going to be so much better than what we already got, but we'll see what happens. It all falls on to who's that last movie toy. Some people are saying that it's the Jetfire. I don't really think it's the Jetfire because Studio Series 05 Optimus Prime doesn't have the connector parts to combine with that Jetfire. That was on the Studio Series 32 version. So I don't know. Maybe it's Shockwave. You know, maybe I'm forgetting somebody that probably would fit in. That silhouette, it's hard to tell. That's literally how big the image is, unfortunately. It's got to be something. It's got to be something. Maybe I'm missing something. But we'll see in the near future. The next one they're obviously going to reveal is going to be the next War for Cybertron one, which will probably be Springer. So just stay tuned for that, and we will find out in the future who the next one is. And for your Studio Series 86 shelf, it probably would be best to keep an eye out for that Springer, because it'll be very interesting to see what they do with that. Now, Wonder Festival was this weekend that just passed. Because of the Big V and the regulations and Japan really cracking down on it. Wonder Festival, anyone who was part of my Discord saw the images that I posted from Wonder Festival. Not a lot of people, very spaced out, very cautious. Japan's doing a good job at holding off the Big V, but as a result, a lot of different companies just decided not to show up to not risk anything. And as a result, pretty much just licensing companies, garage kit companies, and self-published manga companies just kind of showed up, and that's about it. One of the licensed stuff was the Nindendroid company of Good Smile. They were showing off their latest Transformer-related products and other Super Robot-related products. So we finally got to see both their Nemesis Prime, a.k.a. Black Convoy, and Starscream of their Nendoroid line, as well as Mazinger and Great Mazinger, for people who are into the Super Robot Go Nagai kind of stuff, the grandfather of all giant robots in a lot of ways. But yeah, the big Transformer news here is the Starscream and the Nemesis Prime. The Starscream is starting pre-orders right now as we speak on Good Smile's website if you're interested in picking it up. We don't know the extra accessories that come with it just yet. They just literally had the figure itself on display. These are going to be shipping out, specifically the Starscream June 21st, 2022 for 5,000 yen, which is about $54 USD. Again, we don't know what the extras are with it, but he's guaranteed probably to come with a whole bunch of extras, probably null ray blasts, who knows what, but we will see. We shall see. Next up, we have here also, oops, wrong one. We have the Black Convoy version, and the Black Convoy version, what's awesome with that one is we actually get to see what the accessories are, but I think primarily the reason for that and why we have the accessories shown is because he's just a straight up repaint of the G1 Convoy. Now, this one also is up for pre-order right now, but it's going to be shipping out July of 2022. And he comes with his Energon Axe in red, his Ion Blaster, which I guess is what it's called also with this version, and everything like that. It's shown there with the Optimus to give you an idea of scale. It's a straight up repaint, has the interchangeable hands, the fingers, everything like that. For people that aren't familiar with this line, it's pretty much pop vinyl if it had articulation, interchangeable hands, interchangeable faces, you know, articulation, weapons, all that kind of stuff. They're pretty cool. They're just a little pricey, but they do have a big following in Japan, so it keeps marching forward. And clearly the Optimus and the Megatron pre-ordered very well. And not to mention before that, they even did 2 movie ones, and those sold very well too. So they're going to continue this experience and keep moving forward with other product. I don't know, maybe they'll do a Hot Rod one. We will see. We will see. Next up, let's talk about Jada toys. And Jada, back in 2019's New York Toy Fair, as well as the short-lived 2020 New York Toy Fair, we have a situation that these were items that were shown off, and ultimately, in the end, we never saw anything of them. We saw a whole bunch of nano Transformers from their Hollywood rides, and we saw also at one point what was going to be their 1x24 and 1x32 scale G1 stuff. And none of this kind of happened. This was all back in 2019 and 2020. Jada kind of went silent and we didn't hear much of it, obviously probably related to the Big V and everything that was going on. And then, of course, the 2021 Toy Fair got canceled. The 2022 Toy Fair got canceled. And that was that. So Jada put it upon themselves to put out their product catalog for 2022, which normally they would have been giving out to retailers and stuff like that. And ultimately, in the end, we got to see some of the new product that they have planned for 2022. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this stuff has been repeat stuff that they've done across probably the past 6 years that they've had the license from Hasbro in relation to Transformers. A lot of it movie related, whether it be Age of Extinction, Dark of the Moon, a little bit of the Last Night stuff that they did. They were starting to dabble into Generation 1 kind of stuff, and that was with their Nano Micro stuff, and of course they did an Optimus Prime. But we have some new stuff to show today. So let's go through this. The first thing we have is the Wave 2 of the Nano Car series, which are 4 centimeters large, pretty much like Micro Machines, but die-cast with free wheels. Now, what's different with this Wave 2 is it's going to be Jetfire, Hot Rod, and Sideswipe. If you look on the top right there, back in 2020, they were going to say that it was going to come out in fall of 2020, and it was going to be Jazz, Sideswipe, and Jetfire. Jetfire obviously had the Robotech / Macross looking VF1S kind of design. And Jazz, well, Jazz is a Porsche. And I think that primarily because we didn't see Jazz in the larger scale, and now him absent and Hot Rod in his place. Maybe Jada lost a licensing with Porsche or something in the past couple of years since the Big V started, and they had to replace him, and they replaced him with my boy, Hot Rod. So it is what it is, but this is Wave 2, so keep an eye out for that. We don't have a release date yet, but usually check your die-cast section. These won't be in the Transformer section. They'll be in the die-cast section with the Hot Wheels and everything else, so be sure to check that out. Pretty cool stuff. Next up, we have also their Nano Fig line. Now, their Nano Fig line, that's the one that's in the middle there, the action figures. These have been very popular for Jada. They've done multiple like multi-packs or single packs based off of different brands, whether it be Transformers or WWE or G.I. Joe or the Marvel lines or DC lines. If you go to my individual segment about this stuff, I actually have a link to their catalog, and it could kind of give you an idea of what these microfig stuff is. Essentially, they're 4 centimeter tiny statues, die-cast, painted, unarticulated figures. And it's pretty cool that they're going with a slew of Season 1 characters with some Season 3. So you got Optimus, Bumblebee, Cliff Jumper, the Seekers, Megatron, Shockwave, Soundwave, Jazz, Prowl, and then, of course, some Season 3 movie characters in Hot Rod, RC, and Ultra Magnus. Again, my boy Hot Rod's here. They're double dosing on me. So it looks like I'm just going to have to, probably figure out a way to pick this up too. These things don't really show up in Canada, so I'm probably going to have to figure out some way to get them. I'll figure out something. And the last one they got here is a remote control transforming Optimus Prime. Now, Robo-Sen Optimus Prime, this is not, but it's still pretty large. It says here that it's going to be 34 centimeters or 13.5 inches, giggity. That's what she said. And it looks like it's pretty good for what it is. It's probably going to be a lower price point, probably in the $50 to $60 range. It says here it has 2 different channels for the remote control, meaning like if 2 different people bought the same figure, they could both drive on different frequency channels so they don't overlay for people who own RC cars, how that works. It has lights and sounds, so it's probably going to have all kinds of cool lights and sounds, maybe even lines from Peter Cullen. Transforms and everything like that with the remote control. And batteries are included for both the robot itself, which is 4 AA batteries and a 9-volt, and the control itself, 2 AA batteries and a 9-volt. So pretty cool stuff. I dig that. I mean, I guess it's a cheaper alternative to the Robo-Sen Optimus Prime, and everyone that probably shelled out the big money for that one, for anyone who did. We got a super chat from Alden Tolbert. And Alden Tolbert wants to know, for the $5 super chat, imagine if Waspinator and Tarantulas joined the Insecticons, plus they got slagged insurance. Well, Waspinator at one point said that he was Shrapnel, Decepticon Hero. So assuming that he's telling the truth or hallucinating, I guess he already is an Insecticon. And Tarantulas, well, I wrote his bio for BotCon, and he has Unicronian origins, so I don't think he's going to be messing with the Insecticons anytime soon. So he has a different kind of origin. But yeah, so thank you for the super chat, Alden. Now, that's it more or less for Jada. We have no information on when this stuff is going to be released, but most of Jada stuff does show up in Walmart and Target. Again, check the diecast section. That's usually where a lot of their product shows up. Even their metal figure stuff. I find that, like, in the past when it came to both the DC stuff, the WWE stuff, or even the G.I. Joe stuff, people were always finding it next to the trading cards and the collector section of Walmart. They don't put them next to their corresponding sections in the toy aisle. So be sure to check there if you are looking for them and are interested. We just don't have a release date yet, so be sure to check that out when the time comes. Let's see what else we got here. And the last thing we're going to cover is that of the big rumor of Lego and Transformers doing something together. Now, Hasbro has had a very interesting relationship with building blocks. And all the way back in the day when they did the Build to Rule line, basing it off of Armada and G.I. Joe and Tonka, trying to really build the brands like back in the day was kind of what Brian Goldner wanted to do in the early days of his tenure at Hasbro as CEO. And Build to Rule didn't really work out well, had a lot of weird bricks. There was a compatibility with Lego, but it just, I guess, it wasn't ready yet. The idea and the concept wasn't there. And then we fast forward after the failure that was Build to Rule, and we get to Creo. And Creo was a lot of ways an answer to Hasbro seeing the success of minifigs and the blind packs and the Lego movie on the rise and all the success of that. And we end up with this kind of situation where even Creo, with all the push that it got, being its own brand made within Hasbro with the Korean company who was putting it all together, it still didn't find success. And then let's not even get into Block World and all the stuff that was prototyped in G2 that also never happened. We get to today, and it seems that through the different sources, the main source of this being Promo Bricks. Promo Bricks is the source of this information, and Promo Bricks is a pretty reliable source when it comes to Lego news. From what I've seen, I kind of looked through their website, and they seem to drop a lot of news that ends up being factual. And they say here, apparently, that this is the product code 1032 Optimus Prime. That's the Lego code. And it's going to come with a jetpack, weapon, and UCS style plaque. The plaque is when you get fancy Transformer. When you get fancy Lego items, they sometimes come with a plaque. I know that the Batman 1966 Batmobile from Lego had that, and a few others. They put a nice little like stand plaque that you could kind of show things off. It says here it could be transformed into truck mode without disassembling, so that's pretty cool. 1,508 pieces. It's going to be, we did the conversion here, about $195.99 USD for its MSRP. And the release date is May 2022. Now, what's interesting about this is the rumors are it's probably a Rise of the Beasts product to kind of correspond with that. But considering that Rise of the Beasts was delayed until 2023, we don't know 100% what the story is. Now, keep in mind the image that they used here is not the product itself. That's actually the Studio Series 44 trailer, Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime. So that's not what the product looks like. So don't get excited with that. I'm just using the image that they used. And it could be Rise of the Beast related. I'm going to assume that it probably is, because that'll probably be the biggest mainstream representation of Optimus Prime in that bubble of time. But that being said, if this is successful, this could lead to something more. And this is a big if. Now, they've done a lot of stuff in the past, Lego, that's kind of been one-shot kind of stuff. They did the big Voltron, didn't do any minifigs with it, just the giant lion robot, one shot and done. So there might be a one-shot with this, a way to test the water. And if this sells very well, then maybe they will do more. Now, I know some people are probably wondering, wow, almost $200, isn't that kind of crazy? That's Lego. Lego is not cheap. It really isn't. Small little sets go for like $50 to $100 to $150. And I mean, this isn't surprising. That Voltron one was, geez, how tall was that thing? It was almost like, I want to say 18 inches in the full combined robot mode of Voltron. And it had no minifigs, just the main figures themselves that you had to build. And that thing was, I think, easily over $200. So we'll see what happens. We will see. It is interesting that now we're finally getting some official Transformer Lego after many years of Hasbro just kind of doing its own thing independently. There has been Hasbro-related brands that were done with Lego, but they were always licensed brands like Star Wars, like Marvel, and many others like that. And even then, you know, those found varying success in and out in terms of the licensing. Again, this is going to probably be like the Voltron, probably a one-shot thing, adult-based product for an adult-based audience. We will see what happens. We will see what happens. But that is a whole other story for a whole other time. I'll try to flesh this out better with more information as the week progresses. But at the same time, I'll have to get some, you know, legitimate information before I do an individual segment on it. But I just wanted to bring it up because it is interesting. And that's it for the news, more or less, this week. Not much else that I could really say about that. It's been a bit of a quiet week. We did a lot of super chats and stuff like that. And, of course, we did the Patreon listener questions to kind of fill out the week, too. So thanks to all the patrons that were sending in a lot of questions that were interested in having some segments on the podcast, too. Just want to cover our other stuff, too. Again, if you haven't already, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. We are doing more episodes in the near future, but if you are interested, you have 4 episodes to dive into. We have episode 1 of our Armada podcast, where we talk about Transformers Armada and its prehistory and how it was put together and everything like that, as well as Aaron Archer really being put at the helm of the Transformers brand after that of Beast Machines and Robots in Disguise doing in terms of sales. We also have other segments such as Jurassic Park, Aliens, Batman, Star Wars, and more. So if you want to learn more about how toys are made and everything like that, check out the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. Go into your YouTube machine, type in the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. Check out the channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and build it up for us so we could one day hit that 1,000 subscribers on that channel. Some good stuff. Long form, very visual. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. And of course, our sponsors, Symbiote Studios for plush, pin, and t-shirts of Transformers. Today I am rocking Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. Got the Snake Eyes pin, and Snake Eyes is chilling in the back there. Of course, Transformers being the bread and butter of this line, a ongoing line of Transformer plush. Be sure to check out symbiotestudios.com or check the link in the description below to pick up all the awesome plush, including that massive Unicron back there that just sits and judges us the whole time during the live stream. And of course, we have the brand new version of Soundwave that is out with his visor gimmick. Pretty cool stuff, because Wave 1 of Soundwave is sold out, so a Wave 4 brand new running change variant has been put out. It's on the website. If you are interested, be sure to check that out. And of course, if you want other Hasbro product, like what I'm wearing today, we have the G.I. Joe related stuff. You could get Cobra Commander. You could get Snake Eyes. You could get Snake Eyes with Timber, his little wolf. Get the t-shirt, My Little Pony, and of course Power Rangers. There's a lot more of this stuff to come too in the near future. Chinese New Year's is almost over. The factories are going to start running again, and the new products are going to be revealed in the coming weeks. So be sure to stay tuned for that, because we have a whole bunch of new Symbiote Studios plush that will be revealed and going up for pre-order. So be sure to check that out, guys, when the time comes. Yeah. So that's it, more or less. We'll go into some super chats and just relax the rest of the evening. I only got one thing this week in the mail in terms of interesting stuff, and it isn't really Transformer related. It's robot related, anything, but I figured I'd show it to you guys anyways. I got recently the special edition Mega Man The Wily Wars Switch edition for limited run games. This is the special edition one. Really cool. It comes with like a whole bunch of stuff here. Check that out. It was based off of the old Genesis remake of Mega Man of 1, 2, and 3, and then it had a special levels of the Wily Tower back in the day. So I was really excited about that. It was cool too. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff. It even comes with a bunch of trading cards. And so again, what's the best part about these trading cards? My boy, my namesake, getting his trading card. Look at that. Good old Proto Man. Awesome stuff. So had to get that. Really cool. These were done by Limited Run Games. I do not know if they have stock of this left. The problem with Limited Run Games is, like the name says, when they're gone, they're gone. But pretty cool. Was excited about that. Didn't get any Transformer stuff, unfortunately. Not much Transformer stuff this week. Been a kind of a dry week for the robots in the skies. But for the super fighting robots, different story. Different story. But yeah. Larry, oh yeah, Larry, you got stuff for me you got to drop off. Well, you know what? Just contact me, brother. You know? Just contact me. That's all that stuff from our friend McNally. All the Cyberverse stuff. Yeah, I guess you could drop that off. Just text me on a day when we're free and you could just kind of drop it off. It's been kind of crazy with the Big V. A lot of us haven't seen each other in a very long time. What's up, David Cabal? Welcome, welcome. We got a question from Downright Superb, YouTube member. Proto, we learned that Studio Series 86 Junkyard had extra money in the whole line's budget and added more stuff. How long will Hasbro had a line-wide budget as opposed to an individual figure budget? Well, usually how it's done is it's not really a line-wide budget. It's a wave kind of thing. Is you have a wave, and usually the budget sometimes is distributed among two figures. The thing with Transformers is sometimes that could be really dicey, because if you have like one figure that has like all the budget in it, you can never really use that figure again as a filler figure in future waves, because then you'd really have to mess with the numbers and everything. I know that the best example of that, and I know it's not Transformer related, but Mattel was talking about how they did this Asuka figure. Asuka is a Japanese female wrestler for the WWE, and they literally put her in a wave that she was with like 3 other figures of like guys that were just like black trunks, black boots, head sculpt. Like very simple designs. I think it was like Randy Orton, Steve Austin, and I don't even remember who the last one was. And they did that on purpose. That way she could have all the paint apps. But they said the negative with that is they can never re-release her in a future wave unless that future wave also has simple, crappy guys with it. So Junkyard, because he's a repaint, because he's an obscure character, I guess it could be done because he'll be in that one wave. People will buy it and that'll be it. He won't be re-released or put in other waves in the future as a filler. And that's kind of the case where you look at stuff like, let's say, Kingdom RC. That was like a filler from a past wave. And people would go like, oh, well, why is Kingdom RC, re-released from Earthrise? Why was she put in there? Maybe she was a cheap filler, as opposed to, let's say, I don't know, maybe like Smokescreen, who would have been a little more pricey, has a little more paint on him, as opposed to molded in plastic colors that didn't require decos. So there's a lot of different explanations for that. I don't know the 100% answer, unfortunately, because I'm not in that boardroom for that decision, but that's usually the reasoning of why stuff like that kind of happens. And again, I always use that WWE example because that was like an extreme case where, like, if you look at that first Asuka figure, she's painted head to toe, all kinds of hand-painted details and stuff. And then you look at her wave mates and it's like Black trunks, black boots, molded color body, head scan. That's it. Like no accessories, no nothing. The three other guys were like super simple, and they did that on purpose because they really wanted to put out her figure, but the budget really wouldn't have been there. Very difficult. Tom Laney just wanted to say hi to everyone. Hey, Proto, gonna watch later. Got a busy night. Thanks for your time. Hey, Tom, no problem, man. Thanks for coming by. I know everyone's busy on a Saturday night. I don't blame you guys. I mean, even me, like if it wasn't for the big V, I think we'd have some nights where I wouldn't be present to be able to do this. But we're living in a crazy hellscape in a lot of ways, so we have to make the best together to entertain each other on these Saturday nights and just have fun talking about the robots in disguise. Springus Prime, hey Proto, can Energon Optimus Prime drones attach to Wing Saber? That's a good question. I don't think they can. I know that they could attach to Omega Supreme, if I remember correctly. I mean, I'm looking over here at all my boys there. There's all my Energon stuff. There's Wing Saber and there's all the others. I don't think so. I believe you could just do Wing Convoy, as he was called in Japan, or Wing Optimus Prime, and then you could do, I guess, Supreme Convoy, which is combined with, the Omega Supreme. But I think those drone units, they're just kind of there, unfortunately. Fire 1, Digger 2, what was it, Submarine 3, and Gyro 4 or Copter 4. I still have those burned in my head from the anime. I don't think they could attach to it, though. But Wing Saber's a good get, though, if you do get him, because he was very limited. He kind of came out in the red box packaging for Energon, and then that was it. It was very quick. He was pretty tough to get in the secondary market. I think like a loose Wing Saber today is like $40 to $50, and a boxed one is like $100 to like $150. Still goes for good money, Wing Saber. Any of those like combiner pieces from the second half of a line are always very difficult. I'm talking about the Energon one, not the Wing Saber from Cybertron. That one was a lot easier because it saw like, I think, 3 different reissues. They did like a Costco reissue. They did like another Costco reissue, and then they did like a main standalone reissue and a box set. So that one's pretty easy to get, but the Energon one's a difficult one. MediaMax Protomang, hey, should we expect Rise of the Beast toy leaks? I don't know. It really, toy leaks are really predicated on if they're made and then who's stealing them. It really has to do with if that's going to happen. I think personally, Hasbro kind of has to be on the ball with that. If they know that the toys are being made in the factory as we speak and they could be leaking out, then they should really beat people to the punch and kind of get those reveals out there ASAP. And then cut off the hands of all the guys that are actually doing that if they do get a chance. I think Hasbro's going to start cracking down on it because there was recently I'm pretty some people are aware of this. Mattel had recently taken down a Jurassic Park toy reviewer because they were reviewing something that had not been out yet or something. And I mean, I don't know the specifics of that story. I didn't read all of it, but I know that something like that happened. And I don't know if Hasbro would do that as opposed to Mattel. They're apples and oranges in terms of how they handle their business. But I think that it should be interesting to see what happens with that, because that might stick in the butt guys like so-and-so and who do that kind of stuff. So, if they get their channel completely shut down and all their monetization destroyed, justice has been served. David Cabal, been watching The Tick. Who's your favorite from the series? Oh, David, that is a tough one. I love The Tick. Ben Unlin, the creator of The Tick. I have all of his old comic books from back in the day. Loved that show as a kid. And then from the cartoon, learned that there actually was a comic book done by New England Comics, done by good old Ben, who literally made it in black and white back in the day. Got to meet Ben at a convention and got him to sign my Tick omnibus, the very first omnibus I ever owned. Favorite character, that's a tough one. In the comic book version, they had a parody of Superman that was pretty funny. And then, of course, who else was a comic book exclusive? Chairface Chippendale was in both versions. And then you have Barry, that was recently in both versions. The Tick 2. I don't know, that's a tough one because I love the Tick. He's crazy. He's crazy. I love him. I don't know, that's a tough one. That is a real tough one. The Red Scare, Arthur's, pretty good too. Oh man. Deflate-A-Mouse, aka Batman Manuel in the live action version. I don't know. I'm gonna just go with the Tick because he's just awesome, and his one-liners are the best, man. What was his song that he sung? When no one understands you for the little things you do, when destiny abandons you, or leaves you. I don't know. I forget that song. So when he had Wooden Boy was his new partner. I never thought I'd be so big and blue. But thank you for the question, David. Downright Superb Proto, is there any story reason why Depth Charge is a transmetal? Seems like he came from Cybertron that way. Well, the belief was that the quantum surge hit him when he was going through the time portal into prehistoric Earth, and it's the quantum surge is what made people transmetal. And it's no surprise that his ship that he flew in also kind of looks like his transmetal form, so it kind of led to kind of a fusion of the two of them, because that's what made him transmetal, was the quantum surge that went through both time and space. That quantum surge in Beast Wars, not that it only spread out everywhere, but it even accelerated through time, and it even got all the way to Cybertron. Of course, then the Predacons, they made a satellite explode, which broke it up before it got to Cybertron, and they never got the distress signal, if you will. But that's a whole other story. I believe that was the episode Other Voices or Other Victory or something like that. Oh no, wait, it was the episode with Ravage, so that has to be not the Nemesis. Oh my god. I should know this. Oh my god, it's the 3-parter, season 2 ending. What is wrong with me? Oh my god, Megatron's Plan or whatever it was. It wasn't called that, but I believe it was the beginning, first part of that episode when we see the Tripredacus Council. Downright Superb Proto. So if the Axelon didn't have to go after the Predacons, the Maximals would have just gone on a Star Trek equivalent adventure. I'd love to see that. Well, it sounded like one of their missions, their secret missions, was to get rid of Protoform X, that giant stasis pod that had a rampage in it. Probably throw it into a sun or whatever. The Agenda. Thank you, T-Formers 2002. The Agenda. Why did I forget that? That's like one of the best episodes too. I'm tired. But getting back to your question, Downright, they had a lot of different goals. It was science exploration more than anything, but they did have a secret mission to get rid of Protoform X. And who knows how they would have done with the other protoforms. Would they have landed, take out some of those protoforms? Some of those characters would have been revived to help with the missions and then put back into the protoforms, the protoform pods. Who knows? In a what-if story that we never got, unfortunately. What else we got here? Springus Prime, what is the best Energon power link in your opinion? Well, I'm going to have a favoritism and have to say Rodimus top, Hotshot power link version bottom, but that's mostly because of the Grando fight tournament that Energon or Superlink episode number 500 did. The reason why they did that episode, because it was the 500th episode of Transformers overall across all the series. That was with Rodimus and Hotshot teaming up to beat all the different iterations. And I love how Hot Rod in one punch knocked out Optimus Prime. That was pretty cool. But outside of that, I don't know. Let me see. What was a really good combo? I know that the Inferno mold was really good. That was a really good one. And when they did it, the Roadblock repaint retool was pretty cool too. That's probably one of the better ones. Some of them were kind of dicey in terms of design. The Rodimus one I liked too because it had that big, it made his heels that were orange. It made it like a big chess piece, kind of like Mazinger in a lot of ways, or Transistor Z, Transistor Z, as it was called in English. I'll go with that one. The Rodimus one is really nice, and it's not just favoritism. It looks nice too, and like I don't know if you guys could see it. It's hard to tell, but it's all blocked there. It's kind of hard to see them, but they're all there, and the McDonald's ones and everything too, from the UK. Elves Bleed 57 Proto. Do you think Dinobot could be retooled into Dinotron? He could. It's a matter of if they want to do it is the question. I mean, obviously they're going to try to look. The reality is every time we've gotten a mold from Hasbro, usually those molds have like a good 3 to 4 year shelf life of retooling and repainting. Like still to this day, we still see Siege molds getting repainted and retooled. And Siege was like 3 years ago, going on 4 years now. So something like Dinobot that's still kind of fresh in the rearview mirror, who knows? 2 years from now, we might get Dinotron. You know, a year a year and a half after that, we might get like a McDonald's repaint. Who knows? Who knows what we'll get? But they'll make the best out of that mold. If there is something to do with a mold that they feel is viable for monetization and making money, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. The money is not going to sit on the table. They're going to do it. If there's confidence, especially with a Voyager or Deluxe class that doesn't take a lot of retail space, they could do it. They could do it. It's not like we had this discussion in the Discord not too long ago. You know, Metro Titan. We never got a Metro Titan repaint for Metroplex. And I think that primarily why we didn't get that is because it's a Titan class. It takes a lot of space. And that's why we haven't been seeing a lot of Titan class repaints. I mean, the Black Zarek was kind of a surprise because we didn't see anything from Omega Supreme yet. We didn't see anything from Trypticon yet. We didn't see anything from Predaking yet. We didn't see anything from Devastator yet. And yeah, I know there was retools, slight versions for San Diego Comic-Con and stuff, but I mean like a really top to bottom repaint and stuff. So I think it's just because these big price point items, they're kind of, you know, a once a year Christmas item kind of thing that they don't really want to clog the shelves with in a lot of ways. So it's just kind of easier to just kind of do the one thing. And if it does sell really well and there is something that's a good idea, then maybe do it. But it's a lot easier when you're talking Deluxe classes and Voyagers. You know, it's so much easier. It's less of an obligation from the stores to be able to have that space and everything like that. And it opens it up to the ability for it to be in those stores, because something like a GameStop or, you know, FYE or what's another one, you know, like even Hot Topic, they're not going to want to carry, you know, Titan class items that take a lot of space, but they're willing to, you know, fill a peg of Deluxes or, you know, a case of Voyagers. That's a little more reasonable, in my opinion. Let's see what else we got with the questions. Media Max, Proto Mang, who would win a battle? The first from Beast Wars characters or G1 cassettes? Well, the Beast Wars characters are way stronger, way stronger. If Beast Wars Megatron could mess up G1 Optimus Prime's face like that, then I'm pretty sure he could probably hold his own against like G1 cassette Ravage or Buzzsaw or Laserbeak or Rumble and Frenzy. A lot of those characters, you have to understand, even though they're pretty much the same size, they're also hundreds or thousands of years in the future of technology. It's kind of like looking at like a Civil War gun, you know, put the little gunpowder as opposed to a gun today. And that's only like 150-year difference in some cases. So I wouldn't really, you know, for something that's thousands of years, who knows? The technology could be so different. That's me going deep sci-fi, but, you know. Elves Bleed 57, look how we got Fangry last year from Titans Returns mold. Yeah, exactly. They'll look at what is available to them, and they'll think, is there a way that we could get something out of it? And especially a lot of those Titan Return molds, some of those characters, you know, they just go, hey, what do we do with it? Look, we got the Dracula mold too. came from something. You know, it came also from, let me go grab it, if I can reach it. You know, that Dracula mold. Going back again to the whole Fangry thing. You know, if there's an opportunity, again, shout out to Mikey and Louie for that one. If there's an opportunity to do a repaint retool and make some money, why not? Why not? If they feel that there's money to be made there. Stinkfist69 has just become a 13-month member. What's up, Proto, and what's up, everyone? Thank you, Stinkfist69, for being a 13th-month member. Again, guys, if you want to join the membership for the podcast and ask as many questions as you like, join down below. Or you could just super chat if you don't want to commit to a membership. But yeah, like there's so many, like, especially when you look at BotCon. BotCon was always the best example of that, where BotCon sometimes you'd have molds that were 5 years old being used. I mean, probably the biggest gap, I would have to say, in terms of a mold would have to be, they took, for BotCon 2016, they did that Megatron from the Gigatron RED Megatron mold. And that's like a 15 to 16 year gap in between right there. 15 to 16 year gap from when that mold first came out to the repaint retool. And that's pretty crazy when you think about it. And I know there's a few others. Obviously, the Scorponok mold, they used a brand new head sculpt that was kind of retooled from an old G1 mold. So that's even a bigger one. That could be almost like, geez, like 17-year gap on that one at the time. But, you know, it's something that is a reality. People need to understand that repaints and remolds serve a very strong purpose in the Transformer hobby. If you want to be angry at repaints and remolds, go look at He-Man collectors. They're allowed to be angry because they had like two body types. They had Sorcerer body type and Barbarian body type. And then everyone just had a new head sculpt and accessories. And that was it. And He-Man didn't have to have like crazy R&D and engineering and tons of parts to make those figures, as opposed to a Transformer toy. Like even this simple one-step, you know? This simple one-step Transformer has more paint parts and pieces than probably a He-Man figure. Or even probably some of those older Star Wars figures during the Power of the Force days. And as a result, they got to repaint them to death, although this one never did get repainted into its destined Wild Ride X-Bron colors, unfortunately, which I talked about recently on my Instagram. But yeah, there's, you know, it's something that has to be done one day. Is every mold at some point has to be turned into something, because it's a way to get back the cost, and they make money from it, because not only do they get back the cost, but it does well. You know, it does well. If it's a really good idea, like a Seeker Jet kind of thing, or the Datsun brothers, or the Lambo brothers, or, you know, how many people bought those sweeps? You know, people bought a lot of those sweeps that were just a plain simple Scourge hand swap. You know, they're going to make money. Downright superb. If Wolfang and K9 made it into the original Beast Wars series, how would the Predacon faction be balanced out to compensate? There's a character called Insecticon that was part of the Flip Changers of Wave 2 of the Predacons. So I can imagine him kind of joining the fray and being part of that spider slash tarantulas kind of crew, even though he was a kind of like a dung beetle kind of looking thing. But I think he'd kind of hang out with them. So that'd be one member. And it would be another good one from the Pred side. That'd be a good one. I know Mana Terror was always an interesting mold too. I could see Mana Terror as being like kind of like Inferno, kind of a psychotic character. And considering that, you know, praying mantises kind of eat each other. Well, it's the female praying mantises eat the male ones. Maybe make her like Black Arachnia, you know? Black Widows kill their mates, and so do praying mantises. Make Mana Terror a female character, which would be a very interesting twist, and have her be buddies with Black Arachnia. Who knows? There's ways you could write that stuff. Writes itself in a lot of ways. Stinkfist69, I hope they do an upgrade of Wingblade. I think you mean Windblade. I think they're going to do something with Windblade again. You know, I found it very fascinating how, despite the fact that she was pretty much a front and center character in the Cyberverse TV series, she did not have at all any kind of proper figure representation. She had the warrior class figure, which was and then she had the like half transformable one step simple, like whatever it was called there, it's like a legend scale, and that was it. You know, that was it. There was nothing else. And it's unfortunate because like she's one of the main characters of the show, and I was saying like she should have been the Build-A-Figure for the deluxe class. They could have done like a Build-A-Figure kind of thing because of what the narrative and the story was with her in season 3, where she was kind of all these different parts that they had to collect and stuff. It writes itself. Come on, guys. It writes itself. But we never got a good figure of her, so that would have been a cool upgrade. I think like the last decent Windblade figure we had, not counting, of course, the recent Farai model kit, but I mean like a legitimate retail figure, I think was her Titan Return one? Was her last decent one? Because that's a pretty good figure. If you could get the Legends version, that's even better in terms of paint and stuff. Yeah, I think it was the Titan's Return was the last decent one. Could be wrong. But there's a few out there. But nothing good recently, unfortunately. Nothing good recently. And I would like to see more of her because she's an interesting new creation, which is something that we don't have much in Transformers. We don't have many new created characters that are sticking around long. You know, like Lugnut being Clobber in the TV series, that's kind of one example of a more recent character sticking around. Barricade's another one too. It seems like we're getting Barricades in some shape or form because of his popularity from the movieverse, even though it was originally a Generation 1 Micromaster character. But I'd like to see more Windblade just because we get more of that kind of style of character that's from a newer generation as opposed to the Beast Wars era or the constant repeat of Generation 1 characters and those trademarks. Downright superb. Do you think Pterosaur came with the Vok disc because Hasbro might be afraid that some kind of NASA copyright on the Sounds of Earth disc? No. Of course not. Pop culture and fiction has been using that golden disc MacGuffin idea for years. Transformers is not the first to use it. Let's put it this way. I think it's just more they just wanted to include something that could be a storytelling device, and the Vok discs are something that is more mystical that can be used for that storytelling device, where the Sounds of Earth is an Earth creation and would not possess those mystical qualities outside of obviously what Megatron was using it for, which was telling time. Where the Vok disc, you could just apply any kind of sci-fi shenanigans to it. Oh, it could be used as a teleporter. It could be used as a remote control to control giant spaceships. It could be used to activate bombs or something because it's connected here. And all the symbols are like buttons. Like there's a little more stuff that could be done with the Vok kind of thing, combined with the fact that, let's be real, at the end of the day, let me grab some packaging here. Actually, I saw some of you guys were talking about him recently. But, when we're talking Kingdom, Kingdom's whole MO is, Vok. Where's the little, they're all on the inside, but like all the Vok kind of like symbols and stuff. It's all Vok kind of induced kind of stuff. So it's something that, it's part of that narrative and storytelling is the Vok disc, more so. The golden disc with the Sounds of Earth doesn't really invoke that, except maybe the Peel to Reveal Destiny trading cards. Maybe those could be kind of like a telling the future, time travel kind of thing. But otherwise, the Vok really was the focus of it, more than anything. So that's kind of why there was more of a focus on that disc. And anyways, if you want to get some really good golden discs, like you can get little die-cast metal ones, Unicron.com made a whole bunch of sets of those back in the day. I don't know if the Lucas brothers still sell them, but those are the ones I have in display in my collection because they are beautiful. And they're like hard metal ones too, like real coins. Media Max Protomang, did you ever get that Gen Selects Super Duper Megatron? If you're referring to Super Megatron, I never did get him. When he went up for pre-order, he sold out. And then I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to get him at the cons. And then the cons never happened. I will get him one day. The one beautiful thing about being a Transformer collector is nothing is impossible and anything is able to get. Literally, thanks to Mikey and Louie being my go-to because of what's going on with Japan right now with shipping. I recently got a lucky draw Transformer that I was hunting for quite a few years. So you'll see more on that when I get that, whenever that happens. It might take a while for it to get here. But even lucky draws, stuff that's 1 of 15 made, because that one's 1 of 15, the opportunities always do present themselves if you're, consistent enough looking for it. And something like that Gen Select Super Megatron, I'm sure plenty of them are out there. Some people are going to want to part with it. Some people will want to sell it. And I'll be there to buy. Again, I was hoping to kind of just go to TFCon and pick up one. But then the big V came and put an end to that idea. When I make my grand return to cons, that'll definitely be something on top of my list of things to pick up when the day comes. It's really awesome looking, though. Looks really cool. Battlestar's villain. One day I will get it. Everything is with me, I'm never too much in a hurry to pick up product because I never worry about something being gone forever. Yeah, there's some items that if I don't pick it up right away, they will be more expensive later. But more times than not, most products, it's like, here's the retail price. Let's say it's $20. And then when it comes out, there's a slight peak because of interest that first month that it comes out because people want to get it and there's people scalping it and you can't find them on the shelves and they want to get it now. So instead of being $20, now it's like, I don't know, $25, $30. And then when it's like 6 months old, then it goes down here. And depending on distribution, yeah, if it's a late wave one, yeah, it won't make that dive. But most stuff in general, like 80% of retail Transformer products, they go like that afterwards. They take a dive. And then, yeah, of course, after they've been retired in allocation, after like 2 years, 3 years, then it starts to creep back up to retail cost, if not a little more, especially if it's mint on card. But otherwise, I wait. And I learned my lesson all those years ago. Oddly enough, someone was asking about Energon. I learned my lesson during Energon, and I did a panel at TFCon about it called How to Save Money in Your Hobby. And I literally regaled my story of collecting, like buying every Energon toy day one. Every Energon toy day one. Oh, there's an Energon toy. Boom, got it. Every single one of them right away. And then a year later, going to BotCon, and all of those Energon toys, not all of them, but most of them, were loose on multiple different tables for like, here's a deluxe, $5 loose complete. Here's a basic class, $3 loose complete. Voyager class, well, at the time it was called Mega and Ultra, maybe $20 as opposed to, and I was seeing like, oh my God, if I would have just most of that product not buy it and then would have bought it all loose complete, because I'm going to open it anyways, loose complete at the cons, I would have saved hundreds of dollars. Now, yeah, there's exceptions to the rule. If I wouldn't have bought, like, you could barely see them, but, Ultra Magnus from Energon, who's a really tough one to get, if I didn't buy him day one, I would have had a hell of a time trying to get him afterwards. But, for the rest of them, I mean, I wouldn't have problems getting Omega Supreme, Optimus Prime, Jetfire, Ironhide, Springer. I was going to call him by his Japanese name. Bulkhead. Windblade would have been a tough, Wingsaber would have been a tough one. Maybe the Black Unicron because that had less distribution. But a lot of them were fairly simple to get, and it's still, the truth is, it's still kind of the same. Think about it. If you're someone who wants to pick up Cheetor today from Kingdom, or any of those fossilizers, or Black Arachnia, or Rat Trap, or any of those, there's tons of those out there right now, and people that are willing to sell less than MSRP to get it out of their collection. And that's why it's always important to kind of look at the secondary market and really see what's going on with the numbers. And if you have the opportunity to go to conventions, even more so that. I'm telling you. You go to my parts parties. Everything is like, if the MSRP was 20, it's like 50% of that. It's very rare that anything I'm selling is even close to MSRP. You know? That's a long-winded answer, but I hope that kind of explains it a little bit. Stinkfist69, what did you think about the Boba Fett finale? It was okay. I mean, I got what I wanted out of that Boba Fett series. I don't want to spoil too much, so I don't want to say too much about it. The one thing I will say was when I saw them building the Mandalorian ship, and they got rid of the droid hangar spot, and they put that little dome where the droid should be, in this case R2-D2, let's say, I was like, oh, it's so obvious who's going to be in that little spot. I called it right then, and lo and behold, again, I don't want to spoil, that person that was supposed to be in that little droid spot was indeed in that little spot. It was a given. You know, it's one of those things when unfortunately you kind of know what the story is going to be later. There's not a lot of surprises, but I got what I wanted out of Book of Boba Fett. I know a lot of people were critical of it. I liked it. I mean, it sure is a lot better than any of the sequel stuff. If you would have given me Book of Boba Fett as a movie instead of The Force Awakens, I would have been all over it. I'll be honest with you. I would have been all over it. Proto, did you ever watch the recent Bad Batch Star Wars animated show? That I have not seen yet. It is so good, finally made me give a crap about clones. Not Clone Wars didn't make you give a crap about clones. A lot of people love the Clone Wars, and they like, what's it called there? Rex, Commander Rex and everything because of it. No, I have not seen it yet. The Star Wars animated stuff, I've been trying to, like, what was the one that I tried to watch, and I just didn't find the time? The one that's at that space station and they're racing. Is it Rebels? It's the one that's like, it's a racing one. I tried to watch that. I got like 5 episodes into it and I just didn't have time. Just did not have any time. Literally between catching up on some anime stuff that I was behind on, watching Book of Boba Fett, luckily was only 7 episodes. So thank goodness for that. 7 episodes, 40 minutes. I could squeeze one a day. But when you're talking like a 26 episode TV series or more, I mean, that's what made Mandalorian easy for me too, you know. It's when they're more shorter, I have more time for it. It's not easy between going to work, coming home from work, recording the podcast daily, squeezing in an episode of something, playing video games, having supper, not driving myself crazy. It's tough. It really is. When I retire, I'll definitely be able to go back and watch a lot of stuff. There's Marvel movies I haven't seen. There's DC movies I haven't seen. You know, that's how like behind I am in a lot of things. You know, I have friends that are like, what? You haven't seen that yet? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm sorry, your Saturdays are free. Mine aren't, you know, like it doesn't work like that. We got a super chat for 5 bones. Thank you for the super chat. Goho Meister 77. Goho Meister. It would be cool if it was Toho Meister. Might be a dumb question. There is no dumb questions. But is there anything they can do with Studio Series Dinobot molds other than re-releases? Oh, of course. Of course. Number 1, repaints. G2 repaints. The only problem that I have with those Studio Series Dinobot molds is their leader classes. And that goes to what I was just saying before about, like, you know, the problem with the Titan classes and the Commander classes is, yeah, you could do repaints with them, but because they're more upper echelon price point products, they're a lot more touchy. Because do you want to do a whole bunch of repaints of some, like, it's a lot easier to do a repaint of a deluxe, and if it doesn't sell well, it was a deluxe, it wasn't as expensive to produce, it didn't take as much shelf space, the retailers didn't feel like they invested as much as opposed to, let's say, a leader class that's a lot more expensive. But the Dinobots are all leader classes. So if you do want to do a blue G2 Grimlock, I mean, that could totally happen. But would they want to do it is the question. But yeah, for sure. G2 colors. Shattered glass colors. Then you could do like even more fun stuff. You could kind of like retool them a little bit. And then you could do like, there was like this old line back in the day. That was like a bootleg line of the Dinobots from the Diaclone era, which they kind of resculpted the molds and stuff. Take that Grimlock mold. Do a crossover. Look, your name is Goho Meister. Toho. We're talking Godzilla. You know? You could do a Godzilla kind of thing going on. You know, do a crossover with that kind of stuff. Make a retool Grimlock and turn him into Godzilla. There's always ideas for the collab stuff and everything. But the simplest one is repaints. G2. Give us those G2, man. Give us G2 Sludge. We never got a G2 Sludge. Give them some nice G2 colors on them. I'm sure people would dig that. But the problem is they're leader classes, which kind of holds things back. My thing when it comes to those Dinobots is I think we're going to get an accessory pack in the future that's going to come with their swords. That's the next thing that I think is going to happen with those Dinobots. That's the next move. Downright Superb. Proto with G1 episodes being on YouTube. Will that create a swath of young new fans? There's millions of parents who don't regard parenting and shove tablets or smartphones in their toddlers' faces. 200%. As someone that runs conventions, many times I've had parents come up to me and go, do you have any Beyblade stuff? And I'd be like, oh, wow, Beyblade? Like the old Beyblade or like Metal Generation or Burst? And they're like, no, my son wants the old Beyblade stuff. He's watching all the episodes on YouTube now. YouTube is like Netflix for kids. You know, a kid might not be hogging the TV and navigating Netflix, but when they're on their parents' tablet, it's easy for them to just go and push buttons. And for them, it's so much easier to just find whole TV series of stuff that's been uploaded illegally on YouTube, or legally in some cases. What's the company that has all of Deke stuff? They have a YouTube channel that has like all of Cops and Mummies Alive and all of that. Like it all got uploaded on there. I think it's called Cookie Jar Entertainment or something like that. They also put all the Super Mario Brothers Super Show episodes on there. Like, all that stuff is out there for kids to watch. And if they discover it, and then all of a sudden, hey, now you got a kid that's a fan of a toy line that came out 20 years ago. Hey, that's awesome. You know, that's awesome. So the way I see it is, yeah, I think so. I really do. I think that's primarily the reason why I think Generation 1 still prevails aesthetically, is because Hasbro keeps those episodes in circulation. And when you're older, you could look at Generation 1 episodes and criticize its animation and its more lackluster kind of storytelling. And voice acting was pretty decent. But when you're a kid, you don't notice. You know, when I was a kid, I used to watch like Bugs Bunny cartoons that were made in the 60s. And, you know, here I am, I'm a kid in the late 80s, and I'm looking at cartoons from the 60s, and I don't, like, look at those cartoons and go, oh, that's old, that's ugly. Or even looking at the what's it called there? The old Superman cartoons by, what's his name there? Felsher? You know, I used to watch those as a kid. At no point did I, like, in my brain go, this stuff is old. I just thought it was like, oh, it's a classic kind of, like, looking style that's unique. I didn't know that it was, like, from, like, when was those, the 50s those were made by Disney? You know, so I think there's something to be said there. There really is, and I think that there is a lot of kids that are watching that stuff. Guys with the super chats, I'll get with you in a moment. We're almost at the super chats. Elsbleed 57 on Hasbro Pulse. All characters from Legacy are sold out, but not RC and Bulkhead. Do you think that's a sign of how they will be in retail? I don't know. I'd have to see in retail. Retail is very different from online. Online is usually collectors, people that want to be there first and buy it. Retail is more organic. That's birthdays, that's parents, that's kids, that stuff that's not online. When you're buying a birthday present, sometimes it's a week before that birthday. You're not going to take the risk of buying online, and it shows up on day 7 when you have to be there at day 6. So the more organic reality of retail is much more a better measuring stick. Because I would have never guessed that like Rat Trap would be a bad seller for core class, and yet here we are. Core class in general is pretty bad, except for some of the more later G1 guys. No surprise, G1's still doing well. Orlando Chavez with the super chat for 5 bones. Thank you, Orlando. Optimus Prime or Rodimus Prime, who would win? If it's Generation 1, oddly enough, one of the old Japanese magazines answered that question. They did a comparison between the two, and they said that Rodimus Prime actually has better statistics and technically should be able to win in a fight against Optimus Prime, but Optimus Prime has more experience. Now, and you guys are going to get to see something pretty rare. I've never shared this online, and a lot of people have been begging me to scan it, but the people who will profit from me scanning it don't deserve that money. I own a very rare manga of Transformers 2010 called the Battle for the Convoy Cup. It had a very limited print back in the day, and the story is of a fighting tournament among the Generation 1 Transformers to see who is the strongest for the Convoy Cup. No joke, this is a story. And so these were all the combatants fighting for the Convoy Cup and who is the strongest. Let me just show you. So it's like, here's Megatron throwing Octane out of the ring and Springer fighting, and it's a crazy story that, spoiler in the end, Hot Rod Rodimus wins. Let me just get to the end. So you have Megatron and Galvatron fighting against Rodimus at the end, and in the end he beats them. I'm not going to show all the pages, but in the end he defeats Megatron, something that Optimus couldn't do, and gets the Convoy Cup. Yosha, as he would say in Japanese. So, and this is canon. So Rodimus stronger. Rodimus Prime number 1. Not just favoritism, fact. Joseph Ritter with the super chat for 5 bones. Can you say happy birthday to Kay Chen, our head of production for Symbiote, who's watching you now? Happy birthday, Kay. Actually, do I have? Oh no, I had little streamers down here before. Oh no, I brought them upstairs. Happy birthday, Kay. Hope you're doing a good job at Symbiote Studios. Hope Joseph isn't giving you a hard time. I know he's a good-looking man, and that usually makes problems for all the women in the office, but I understand the feeling. I understand the feeling. Now I'm an old man, but I understand the feeling. I hope that helps you, Joseph. Let's go to the next question. Media Max, Protomang, what Transformer has the biggest man parts? You want to know who has the biggest one? And this is the stupidest conversation ever, but it actually has happened. Generation 1 Scattershot. Anyone who owns a Generation 1 Scattershot knows exactly what I'm talking about. That thing is bigger than almost his whole body. And then second place is Scavenger from the Constructicons. Once again, anyone who owns a G1 Scavenger knows exactly what I'm talking about. Knows exactly what I'm talking about. I hope that answers that question. Baron Julius von Bruck. Love that name. I've been making Lego Transformers since the creation for years. Check out my Lego Super Nintendo Transformers. Lego Super Nintendo Transformers. That sounds intriguing as hell. I actually want to see that. Funny story, like we did a segment a gosh, I want to say 2 years ago. I had a friend in Montreal here named Eric Mullen. Shout out to Eric if he's listening. He's sometimes in the chat. And he worked at Lego for many years. And he actually submitted a Lego ideas of transforming robots. I forget what the name of it was. We did a segment on the podcast if you're interested. Just look for just type Transformer Lego, Transformer Slag podcast. I'm pretty sure it'll come up. But he submitted to Lego ideas and it didn't get much traction. And I'm not a big Lego guy. I'm more like, the Technic stuff is kind of cool because that speaks to me as a mechanic. And, the Bionicle stuff speaks to me because I like the lore and the story of that. But I've never been a big Lego guy. I like the little minifigs. They're kind of cute, I guess. But in general, I've never been huge on them, so I can't really speak much for the Lego side of things of what sells well and what doesn't within that brand. I mean, I thought like that Lego Simpsons stuff would sell gangbusters because it's Simpsons. I mean, goodness. You could do all the Simpsons locations, all the little... And it had two big sets and like minifig sets, and that was it. So, but then again, I'm not really entrenched in that world, so I don't really know. I'm not an expert in that, and I don't claim to be one, just from my own personal experience as a buyer in a limited capacity and what I've seen, walking by Lego stores and their big displays and what's popular. But I don't know, man. I do not know. Downright Superb Proto, why the hell wasn't the Origin Bumblebee released in the Siege line? Did they intentionally save it to bolster the buzzworthy line? The general rumor that has been persistent since we first learned about Origins Bumblebee was because we knew for years Buzzworthy Bumblebee was actually a line designed for China. And then they're like, oh, maybe we could supplement it also for America. And of course, the big V happened, supply issues. Oh, let's really supplement this for America also. So it was supposed to be a Chinese-only line. So the belief was it was going to be a Siege item, maybe even a Netflix item. Netflix Siege item, wasn't really sure. But then everything kind of got mucked up and screwed up. And as a result, stuff got shifted. And certain designs that were not. Now, you look at what Buzzworthy Bumblebee was when it first started. Bumblebee repaints. Or Bumblebee-related character repaints. Then as the line evolved, now we have, the World Collide 4-packs that have nothing to do with Bumblebee. They might put the one Bumblebee character in there, but now we're getting these non-Bumblebee-related items in Buzzworthy Bumblebee because what it was originally intended to be, which was take these old molds, sell them in the Chinese market, make them a little different, to, hey, now we got another line on the shelves that could supplement, oh, it's going to be a Target exclusive, Target's willing to foot the bill. All right, let's do that. So that, there's rumors on how it came to be. It's something that if we had BotCon and we had, like the Hasbro Q&A that we had back in the day, we would have been able to get that answer years ago. But unfortunately, that is not the case for the time being. One day we will get that answer. One day there'll be a moment in the bar at a convention where that question will cross the table. Hopefully one day. Hopefully one day we'll learn it. But it's again, Buzzworthy was never meant to be in American retail initially, like that first wave. It just kind of turned into that. It's kind of the same thing with Transformers Neza. If anyone remembers that was the Chinese exclusive line also that was supposed to be made for the Chinese market. That was an offshoot of Cyberverse. There was going to be a TV series. There was going to be an exclusive line. They had a 3-pack. They had a Voyager class figure. They had a Lego-esque building line. They had a two remote control exclusive figures too. This was all Hasbro-made products specifically for the Chinese market for a exclusive Chinese TV series. None of that happened. The big V came in, said, hold my beer, and everything got screwed up. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's not the best way to compare it, but it's kind of like if anyone had plans for any kind of business stuff in the 1940s, it kind of got screwed up as the 40s kept moving forward for whatever specific reason.